And just like that, the weekend is over and it's Monday. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. Welcome to the Midday Show. Another beautiful day. Isn't it amazing? When it's the weekend, the weather's like, it's okay. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay, right? Gets to Monday and everyone's going to go back to work. Boom! Beautiful weather. Beautiful weather. Now, very interesting start to the week. No, Neil Long is celebrating his daughter's birthday. I've met her. She's absolutely delightful. I don't understand how they're related. She's very attractive and a brain box. She's a scientist. She's a physicist of some renown. How does that work? I mean, you know Neil. Dear God. Anyway, testosterone. I saw this, reached out to the people concerned. And I thought, yes, this is a very, very important, not often spoken about subject. As you know, with the Midday Show now, I moved it away from mental health. I'll fit it in when it's appropriate, but I'm not going to shoehorn everything into it like we used to. Just not going to do that anymore. I think people are exhausted. But testosterone is something that interests me enormously. We have an expert in the subject. He's coming up right now, Dr. David Edwards. Dr. Edwards, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Good. You're saying that. Your face isn't saying that, though. But
Funny you should say that about the weekend. I've just come on holiday down in Cornwall, and we've had a nightmare actually getting to the cottage because they're retarmacking the roads to all around the villages.
Oh, Lord.
So I've literally just got in through the door now. But however, I'm here.
Thank heavens for that. How long did your horrible journey take?
Well, we got up at about 5:30 this morning, but we got to about 1.5 miles away from where we wanted to go, and then they had a road closed sign.
Excellent.
And, that's good. It's really good.
Yeah, excellent. Did you just sit there, Dr. Edwards, and go, oh, drat?
Well, sort of, yes. It might have been a little bit stronger.
Really?
But fortunately, my wife was in the car, and she was able to get the Google Maps and so forth out and trying to trace a route around the villages. But of course, everyone was trying to do the same thing in the opposite direction.
Oh, Lord. So it was like, are there little passing? I know that's not why you're here, but it drives me nuts. That's why I never go to the country. Are there little passing lanes?
Yes. And then you get about 4 cars. You try and get yourself a convoy to make the other person reverse. But if you've got 4 each side and narrow country lanes, it's not a lot of fun.
I know you are the Burt Reynolds of the medical world in that case. If you've got a convoy, cutting edge reference there from me. All right, now, Dr. Edwards, thanks very much for coming on to the Midday Show. Appreciate it, especially on your holiday, which I didn't appreciate, but it's very nice of you. Testosterone, lack of, causes havoc.
Absolutely. So testosterone is a hormone. It's present in women as well as men, although in women it's in minuscule amounts.
Right.
Whereas in men it is much higher and can be measured and monitored.
Oh.
And generally, if you ask people in the street what they think about testosterone, they think about sex, and they think about abuse of steroids, anabolic steroids by so-called sportsmen.
So-called, indeed.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to park that one for the time being because I want to deal with the average Joe Bloggs in the street or on the London omnibus or whatever, Clapham omnibus.
It was the Clapham omnibus. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And basically, there is my strapline that I always use is there's a lot more to testosterone than just sex because it affects every part of the body near enough. And if you have a deficiency of it, i.e. a low testosterone, then you get problems, basically. We can get problems. So a low testosterone can lead to other comorbidities, other illnesses, anemia, osteoporosis, that type of thing.
Oh, Lord.
And people can have what's called low impact fractures. So that if that's not a fracture that you might get, say, from a road traffic accident, that's a fracture just occurs, you might wake up, get out of bed and break your hip.
Oh, my God.
And that
I thought you meant like if you fall over, hence my left hand doesn't work.
No, you're talking about big joints here, big joints. So low trauma fractures of the spine or of the hip are very often caused by having a low testosterone.
Good grief.
And although there are many causes for anemia, one of the things you have to exclude is to make sure that the testosterone in that particular patient, that male patient, is in the normal range. And if it isn't, then it needs treating. If you ignore it, then it can lead to an early death because there's an increased mortality from having a low testosterone.
This is not good.
Not good.
At all. This ain't good.
No, but it's a bit like thyroid. All of us accept that people may have thyroid problems, and all they do is take some replacement hormone, and then things are better. It needs monitoring. Right. And the same is true about testosterone. So there are medications that you can take to replace it within what's called physiological levels, i.e. normal levels, and then you're okay. You know, you need to carry on for a long, long time, but that's what we need to do. So it's encouraging men, or more often their partners, because the partners will understand what is going on very often sooner than the man. And so it's important that he or she, that partner may be he or she, is there at the forefront and getting him to make an appointment to have his testosterone measured.
That's Mrs. Edwards unpacking.
Yeah, sorry, I'll try and.
No, don't worry, it's fine. It's live. Don't worry about it. Mrs. Edwards. Please don't apologise. You have a journey from hell.
She's the doctor herself.
Either that, or you could have spun us along and said, "No, I think it's poltergeist," and we would have been riveted.
Real Dr. Jill Edwards, who isn't used to these sort of things. She's used to.
She's a doctor as well.
Yeah,
wow.
However,
wow, so when you're introduced, it's Doctor and Dr. Edwards. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Or Jill and David, which is probably better.
No, if I had a partner who was a doctor, I'd be a doctor and doctor. I'd shove it at every opportunity. Now, let's just dial this back.
Let's ignore Dr. Jill and get on to testosterone.
No, we're liking Dr. Jill. She's making an unexpected but very welcome appearance. Now, Dr. Edwards, let's just dial this back a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
How do you start to know? There's two questions, if I may. How do you start to know if there's something up, no pun intended, with your testosterone? And two, what are the tests when you go and eventually call your GP? Please God, they answer the phone.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to question number one. How might they present? Now, they may present with sexual symptoms. They may present with physical symptoms and what are called cardiometabolic symptoms and psychological symptoms. Now, to put that into English.
Yes, please.
If we go back to the beginning one, the sexual one, you may get decreased sexual desire. So you may not be interested in sex at all. You've just gone off the boil, so to speak. You may have problems with getting, am I allowed to mention the word erections?
You can say hard on, for as far as I'm concerned. You can say whatever you like. We are uncensored.
Right,
okay. We speak as we think here.
Right, so you may have problems getting a hard-on or erections, and you may get reduced ejaculation or reduced cum and reduced volume of the ejaculation, and you will get a reduction in your early morning erections. So those are the sort of key symptoms as far as the sexual thing is concerned. And that will more often not be more than obvious to the partner.
Yep.
So if we then go on to the psychological ones, these can be more subtle. So it may be that you may lose your oomph. Now, I know that isn't a medical term, but it's what I call you've just lost your drive for doing anything. You may be irritable, grumpy old man.
You're really just describing me, aren't you? We've never met. And you were just describing me completely.
No.
I think you are.
I wouldn't
dare.
You're
speaking to people.
Yes. So you may have problems with sleeping. You may actually fall asleep during the early hours of the afternoon.
Yes.
Which is slightly worrying because I've had several patients that are heavy goods vehicle drivers.
Oh God.
And they're dropping off at sort of 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it can cause potential problems and has caused problems. Yeah. So one symptom is, in fact, these guys very often buy loads and loads of energy drinks. I'm not going to mention.
Oh God, no!
So they, and I can remember one guy who had a whole case of these energy drinks in the back, which he used to sort of finish one and then have another one. And it's, yeah, but once we found out the
We won't
diagnosis,
mention them. We'll just say Max Verstappen. That's it.
Right.
I think everybody
Right.
knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. And you may have problems with memory. You may have problems thinking where you've left something, you know, simple things, where the car keys, that sort of thing. And you could say, well, I'm a bit like that all the time.
Yes.
But because it gets worse. That's the interesting thing. Other things are more the physical side of things. I mentioned this word cardiometabolic.
Yeah.
You may have issues with obesity, fatness, and that fatness is classically occurs around the tummy, around the abdomen. And you can also get things like diabetes. So, for instance, 40% of men with type 2 diabetes, 40%, will have a borderline or a low testosterone. Now, the problem is that most of these men have not had their testosterone measured. So most of these diabetics, although they may have had their thyroid measured as part of an annual check, you know, you go for an annual check if you're a diabetic and you have your blood pressure, your weight, your diabetes medications and so forth.
Yeah.
They're doing the thyroid as well, because there's also a link between a low thyroid and diabetes. But the pickup rate is much lower. It's only 0.5%. Whereas if you're looking for testosterone deficiency or low testosterone, that can be as much as 40% of those men have a low testosterone.
Lord.
And the beauty is if you treat those men, you will get improvement. The first thing that improves is that they feel they're getting a little bit more oomph. So they find it easier to get the sexual problems generally come back sooner, whereas the problems with osteoporosis and anemia may take a year or so to go. Now, there's a very interesting study, which I will bore you with because I think it's very good.
You're not, trust me, you are not boring any of us. This is absolute gold.
There's a German study, and it involved several hundred patients, and they were just looking at, these were men that were diabetic, and they also had a low testosterone. Now, when the Germans are very thorough, as you probably are aware, and they would be measuring things, and they did it on a yearly basis, and they gradually found that their blood pressure improved to the extent that they were able to reduce the medications that they're on for taking their blood pressure. Their cholesterol and their fats, their so-called lipids, they improved as well. The diabetes control improved, and there's the magic phrase of an HbA1c, that's the long-term measurement looking at diabetes. Right. That was improving to the extent that men were actually getting into remission, not a cure, a remission for their type 2 diabetes. Now, it's not overnight, and these guys were gradually improving year on year on year. So after about 8 or 9 years, they were practically off most of the medication. Their weight had gone down, their cholesterol had improved, etc. Right. And this is not rocket science. Do you know what I mean? There's been testosterone available since the late 1930s. So
why is it so rare, well, relatively rare, that experts like you come on and tell us about these things? It's almost like it's been sort of pushed under the carpet.
Absolutely. I think it's the old word of taboo and sex. It's the same to a certain degree with erectile dysfunction, although the manufacturers of a certain drug, blue tablets, did very well in getting the education in on that. But it's taken a while because people don't seem to know. And there was a survey from, I think it was Bessans Healthcare UK, where they looked at reasons why men were not seeking help. And basically it was things like, it was lack of knowledge, lack of education, embarrassment, afraid of what it might find. And so I think one of my jobs that I do in life is educating men and women to enthuse them, empower them, and encourage them to seek help. And once you've caught your man, once he has come to see you, then they're great. They will adhere to the treatment. They're keen on knowing their measurements. One thing you have to be careful is that you don't get a level that is too high, and you don't want a level that's too low. So a bit like a thyroid, you don't want it going too high, and you don't want it going too low. So you do have to have measurements every so often to get that checked.
So what would a GP give you? I mean, what is the treatment? They say, right, we've discovered you've got a low testosterone, which I presume is they're testing it with your blood. They're doing blood tests.
That's right. Yes. Generally, you'd have a blood test, and that blood test needs to be taken in the morning, early hours in the morning. So say between, well, not the early hours in the morning, but say between 7 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock in the morning, because you get what's called a diurnal rhythm. That's to say you get a variation in the blood levels throughout the day.
Right.
And so you want to be fairly consistent as to when you're doing that blood test.
Right.
Which is not a problem. You know, it can be done. And that's what most doctors do in order to get a measurement. And I don't treat someone on one low level, because they may have a low level because of having a viral illness. Yeah. So for instance, the dreaded COVID, bless it, caused a lot of men to have a low testosterone. And so it's important that if you have something like long COVID, something like that, you do actually measure a testosterone.
Yeah. How do we, I'm going to have a slight detour here, a little bit like your journey down to your holiday home, but how do we know if we've got long COVID?
Well, that is, well, you don't really, because it's not very easy to get the blood tests on it, because it's not very precise. Like a lot of things in medicine, it's more going on the clinical signs, the physical signs and so forth. So basically, men, to a certain degree, is very similar to the testosterone deficiency. They may have sort of brain fog. They may feel, if you pardon the expression, knackered. Yeah. And they lack drive, and their memory goes and so forth. So
how bad, and this is a serious question, because you're touching on so many things. And I know we've got people watching in America right now and all over the place. All of us, as we get older, get a bit more forgetful. It's a fact of life. If I don't write it down on a list, it ain't going to get done. Simple as that.
Ditto.
How worried
So
how worried do we need to be? When does it become an indicator, if you like, as opposed to I've just got things in my mind and I forgot?
Exactly. So I think it's a very difficult question, which is obviously why you asked it. I think the main thing is, if you are aware of it, and it doesn't seem to be any more than, say, your average person on the same Clapham omnibus.
Yes,
then fine. But I think it is a good idea that men and women should get some sort of checks from time to time, so that if, for instance, and it's keeping as active as possible. So being active, eating a healthy diet. If you are, if you do have high blood pressure, making sure you're on treatment, and making sure that your treatment is set to target, if you like, it's within the normal levels, as opposed to just taking a little bit, thinking, oh, I'll just take a little bit just in case. You want to get the treatment to get your high blood pressure down to the normal level.
Right.
And exactly the same with, you need to check on the blood sugar side of things, and also the cholesterol and lipid side of things. Right. So a lot of men, unfortunately, in fact, a lot of women as well, do have a tendency to obesity. And so that, again, is another marker that you need to do something about it. But unfortunately, men with low testosterone don't have the drive to take the dog out for a walk, for instance. So that
I do every day. No, that's all right.
That's good. So, so you take the dog out every day, whoopie-dee. But if you find that suddenly you can't get up that hill as easy as you did 2 months ago, 3 months ago, year ago, then it's worth looking into it. Because you shouldn't label everything as being a low testosterone, because it may not be. Yeah. It may be something completely different. It may be, I don't know, asthma or whatever. So you've got to, it's a good idea that if you think there's something wrong, that you should go and see a GP and practice nurse and so forth, and have a bit of a sort of MOT, for want of a better expression.
Well, it's weird you say this, because as soon as I finish this show, within an hour, I shall be at a GP having a massive raft of tests because of some of the things that you're talking about, and other things which are disturbing me. So I agree. Why do so many, particularly men, not women, I'm just going to say it, I don't care,
Yeah.
just put their head in the sand and go, oh, it'll be all right.
Well,
I've been guilty of that myself. I know it. Hands up,
You're precisely right. And I think that for women, they have everything is sort of primed to help them in primary care. From the point of view that you have women's health clinics,
Yep.
and you have that from a relatively young age. They are aware of doctors if they're lucky enough to have babies. They're aware of doctors examining them and so forth. Whereas for blokes, they are, if you pardon expression, weak, feeble creatures in general. In general, I'm sure you're not a weak, feeble creature.
Well,
but
it depends what day you phone me up, to be honest with you. But,
I think that
whatever mood
you know
I'm
what I
in.
mean. Men in general say, "Oh, it'll go away. It'll go away. It'll wait till tomorrow," or they say, "Oh, I think it was due to me going to that party the other week. I'm still feeling knackered from that, or whatever." So it is all these things can stop the man going to seek help.
There's another thing which gets confusing, Dr. Ed. Well, no, I think blurs the edges of this as we get older and pass through middle age, etc.
Yep.
You're much younger than me, I can see that. But it's hard to say, well, wait a minute, I'm X years old. Why the hell do I still think I'm 35? Up in here, I'm 27.
That's
I'm
good.
not.
That's
no,
good.
No. I've never been busier. I'm never doing more stuff. But I have to be realistic and say, well, I'm not 27 or 35 or 45 anymore. I am going to feel naturally a bit more tired, but I never know if it's because I'm getting older or if there's something wrong, and I don't want to be neurotic about it.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you do need a checkup from time to time.
Yeah.
So I think that, the other thing is I'd dearly love to have, I'm trying to get set up on a national scale, clinics for men's health in GP surgeries.
That'd be good.
And also, I'm also aiming to have from the top down a Minister of Health for men, because and this is just levelling up. It's just levelling up because women have had a Minister of Health for themselves. There's a women's minister for the menopause, which I'm completely happy with. I'm not saying that's wrong. What I'm saying is us men should have someone speaking on our behalf in government. Now, whether that will magically change, I don't know. But
do you know why it won't? Do you know why it won't? I tell you why it won't change. And it's very interesting because you would kind of walking gingerly like you're on the BBC. You don't have to. I get what you're saying. And it is a leveling up because women have had a bad deal for centuries. That's for sure. We won't get sidetracked into the madness that's going on at the moment. But I think that any government says, yes, we're going to get something for men, and every idiot in the world will come out from under their rock and start screaming and shouting that it's unfair. That's why I think
that's
why it'll be a problem.
Yeah, I had a rather disaster with Woman's Hour because a certain presenter there was referring to what's he called? Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, yes.
You must have mentioned him about 18 times during the program, not getting the gist that on average, men die younger than women, and men present with their comorbidities later than women. And this is what I'm trying to change. So we're getting...
How did this presenter, who will remain nameless, but I think you know who it is, how did they manage to squeeze in the dreaded Andrew Tate into this
I don't know.
otherwise erudite conversation?
They did it several times all the way through. And I think you heard about Jill just now. She was counting the number of times that Andrew Tate was, and I think she lost count at 18 during this particular program.
Wow.
But
the thing is, do you know why? I'll explain why. Because with the BBC, they've always got an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I want to learn. And our viewers and listeners all over the world, they just want to learn. They want to have a conversation. We don't come in with, right, I'm going to set this guy up. I'm going to set a bear trap. He's going to walk straight into it. I don't do that. BBC, the producers will have an agenda. And it doesn't matter what you say. You could be discussing flavors of ice cream, and they will shoehorn in Andrew Tate or, non-binary or whatever the hell the subject du jour is. That's how this nonsense happens.
Yeah. But I think going back to your thing, how will men know what to do? Well, there's now a website that's been set up called Stronger Voice, www.strongervoices.co.uk, and men can take a questionnaire, do a questionnaire online, and see if they think that any of those symptoms that we were talking about, the sort of lack of oomph, the erectile problems, etc., and then if they have, then it would be probably worthwhile seeking help. And then your question 2, if I remember several minutes ago, was how do you treat it?
Very good.
So
well done.
So having established that there is a diagnosis that your man has got low testosterone, that he has clinical signs as well, and that it isn't just on one blood test, you've taken another repeat test and it is still low, so it's not just due to a viral illness or whatever, then you would then suggest to that man a variety of treatments. And that might be rubbing something onto the skin, or it may be an injection. And that's it, basically. What I wouldn't at the present time is use a medication by mouth, a capsule, which I know you can buy readily online, but it doesn't give good results from the point of view that it has to. If you think about it, the capsule has to go down through your gut, get absorbed through the gut, it then goes through the liver and then to your blood. Right. And you don't get steady levels. And so what we're after is levels that are consistent. So we don't want the man's testosterone going from very low to very high. We want a sort of a balance, if you like. And so there are various ways of doing this. And that's what I'd suggest to men. So like you may have a medication for a bit of blood pressure problems, or even if you're diabetic, you would have some medication. Yeah. If you find out that you are low testosterone, then you can treat it, just like any other illness. We are not after what are called supraphysiological levels, i.e. levels way up in the sky, which is what, unfortunately, we mentioned about so-called sportsmen. That's what they do. And it isn't, I think that we can change this over the next few years. So I think, as I said before, a Minister of Health for Men from the top down, men's health clinics from the bottom up, and get these men enthused. They can find out help, as I said before, on that website, and then see where you go from there.
What was the name of the website? Sorry, what was the name of the website again?
www.strongervoices.co.uk.
I'm going to write it down. www.strongervoices. I can write this. Now, my question.
And then likewise, there's always the
.co.uk, is it?
Yeah. There's a website as well you can go on from the NHS. If you want a sort of independent thing.
All right.
So I think you will then be helping not just yourself, but your partner, family, and so forth. And if you can reduce, as I said before, say you are a type 2 diabetic, and over the next few years get a gradual improvement, get your diabetes under better control, just by replacing a hormone and monitoring the other things as well, cholesterol, hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, then it'll all gradually improve and you'll be a great guy.
Well, you'll be a physically great guy. You might still be a jerk. You might still be a jerk, obviously.
But you don't want people getting a sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger type torso. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the average Joe Bloggs. Yeah.
Now, one of the things I probably have to let you go because Mrs. Dr. Edwards will be saying, Jill will be going, we've driven for 17 hours. Can we start our holiday, please?
Yeah, all in due course. We've got fog down here.
Fog?
Fog, yeah.
I think God's trying to tell you something.
Yeah,
when you saw the road closed, you said, Jill, we're going home. We're on our way. Turn the camera. Yeah. Online, and I think I know what your answer is going to be, but let's just shine a light on it.
Test it, yeah.
Online, there's about 1,000 billion websites that promise everything if you take this wonderful magic pill or something. Avoid?
Personally, yes. As a generalization, I would avoid. The thing that I'm concerned about, well, in fact, it's very much hit the States, that a lot of people from the States are on testosterone, and only about, I think it's just over a quarter, have actually had a blood test to confirm it.
Oh, wow.
So, and not just having a blood test to confirm low testosterone, but also because the symptoms, as we were talking about before, could be due to other things. It could be due to depression. It could be due to physical things as well. So you have to, if you like, diagnose the problems. So, for instance, when I see people, I very often pick up new cases of diabetes, new cases of heart problems, blood pressure problems, raised cholesterol, and it's just fine-tuning it all. It's just fine-tuning it all and getting it all under control. But you shouldn't just leap at the first magical dose of testosterone online, because it may not be testosterone, it may be a counterfeit, fraudulent, And so I think you've got to go and see someone that knows what they're talking about.
Because they're snake oil salesmen. I didn't want
Absolutely.
to say. I wanted to hear what you had to say. But this is a multi-billion-dollar load of nonsense. It's garbage.
Absolutely. And it was the same thing with the blue tablet that came on with regard to erectile dysfunction. There are lots of ones there. Yeah. So it's a similar principle. You've got to be very careful that it's the real stuff.
Interesting. Now, I went to a launch from an old colleague of mine in advertising, and at the House of Lords a few weeks ago. So they can get a standard for, I'm putting it in crude terms, for stuff that you can buy online. And these are huge companies. These are huge companies that are doing. But in other words, if you have that, we'd call it like the kite mark or the BSA mark or something like that, that if you're buying from these companies, it has been officially approved that if they say they're selling you ingredient X, it is ingredient X, not just, corn flour wrapped up in a capsule.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you.
I thought it was an excellent initiative.
Yeah. So that is true. There are bodies that will do that from the point of view of medications that are regulated. The HMRC has a very good group of people that do just that. To check that the amount of medication in each pill is the same, i.e. not in great variation, and also to make sure that it is actually what it says on the packet, and that you're not getting a load of cement dust and whatever.
And garbage. Absolutely so. And they're cleaning up, and you don't know what the hell's... This is the madness of it, isn't it, Dr. Evans? You don't know. You go, oh, it's a nice website. This looks good. You haven't the faintest idea what's in this stuff.
Yeah. And then
maybe say it's in it. Doesn't mean it's in it.
And it may look very professional. The website, it may be very, very clever, very professional.
Do be careful.
Yeah, there are pharmacy companies in this country that I tested one out a few years ago when I was very aware of counterfeit medications, and they were prescribing men a PDE5, that's a medication for erections, classically known with a little blue pill,
right?
They weren't actually checking whether they had any other problems as well. Because if you have erectile dysfunction is a marker for more serious disease. Okay, there's a problem getting your willy up, but there's also a problem with regard to, you pick up lots of other things, as I've mentioned before, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things. And when I challenged the doctor that was checking people on this particular chemist website, he said, I've got enough to make a diagnosis of ED, erectile dysfunction, therefore I'm happy prescribing it. What he wasn't doing is taking the opportunity to help the rest of the man, which is fundamentally poor. So whoever you're talking to at the House of Lords, I would thoroughly endorse that, and I wouldn't mind going to see him or her.
It was Professor. Oh, I'll have to look it up and try and get. I'm trying to get back to you. Now, this is nice news. Bear with me. This is someone who's been a regular listener for many years. Hi, Russ. I'm happy to got my appointment to have lip cancer cut out. got to go to a maxillofacial clinic, possibly.
Maxillofacial.
Oh,
Maxillofacial. Yeah.
maxillofacial. What is that? What
That is
maxillofacial?
a clinic. A clinic is it deals with the problems of the face or maxillary area, i.e., they deal with that area. So they don't deal with eyes, they don't deal with ears, but they deal with that area. And so, what were they saying then? So they're going to see.
I'll put it back. Hang on, I'll put it back.
What they're saying.
And this is coming in from Spain, by the way. It's
Oh, right.
It's a global show.
Sorry, it's usually pronounced facial-maxillary. That's what it's usually called, a facial maxillary clinic. Right. And the plastic surgeon would be someone that would specialize in making sure things don't scar, making sure it's, that sounds like a very skilled sort of clinic.
And there's your instant response. Thank you. I wondered what it was.
Okay.
Poor old Chrissy. Right. One last question, then I must let you go. Otherwise, I'm going to get letters from your wife. And it's this. You've mentioned something, and I think it affects a lot of us. And I don't know whether it's because we're getting older. I don't know if it's post-pandemic. I don't know if we're just cheesed off with life generally. But you've said it many times, and I really relate to this. You've lost your oomph. You wake up and you go, oh, Christ. And, you're not full of enthusiasm. How bad does that need to be before we start to get worried? Because we all have off days. There's no point in panicking about that. Some day we just have an off day, and that's the end of it. Next day you're fine.
Yeah. So as a GP, we always used to call that TATT, tired all the time. So in the days when we wrote written notes as opposed to computerized notes, we used to get TATT.
Right.
And what it is important to do is actually to make sure that you're not missing anything, because it is a symptom. It can be a symptom, but as you say, you may be having an off day.
Yeah.
And yes, you may be getting older. You may feel older some days than others, and that's the way life is. But it's more the fact that it keeps going. And then if you've got family or a partner or whatever, they say, "Look, Dad, you need to go and see someone. You've just lost your oomph, or your it's very often someone else that's looking in from the outside may be a good help in that sort of thing. A good sort of mirror to echo it off, and they will see what's going on. It may be a colleague at work, it may be somebody like that. So, because otherwise the average man will tend to ignore it, and make an excuse for it. But I think if it does go on, then I'd like to think that the average man would go and get help as well.
Yes.
And yes, it may be low testosterone, it may be something else, or it may be nothing. But, unless you look, you don't find.
Absolutely right. This has been the most fascinating conversation. I've loved it. I've learnt a lot. I think everybody around the world, people watching in from America, from Spain, they've learnt a lot as well. You've helped Chrissy Richards directly, which is great. I hope the fog lifts.
Thank you. Thank you.
If it doesn't, and you see Jamie Lee Curtis coming out of the gloom, lock the doors and run like hell. That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Because you don't want to. I hope you have a lovely holiday. And thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate
It's a pleasure.
Doctor, I hope it was a better experience than Woman's Hour.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
My day is made.
Yes.
All right. Have a great trip. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a charming guy. Isn't that great? What a charming guy. Now, interesting. I really enjoyed that. How nice of him to break up his holiday and come and talk to us. Right. Dave Sleep, who I'm hoping to catch up with over the next couple of weeks while he's in London. Whole health care has to be reinstated. I know. What I didn't want to say to the doctor, right, because it's not his fault, is, try getting a freaking appointment. How many of you have got something and you phone up and, oh my God, I saw a wonderful comment. A wonderful comment linked to this. They said, everyone's talking about, the problems of immigration, illegal immigrants coming on the coast. Why don't they just get an NHS surgery receptionist sitting on the beach at a desk? No one would get in. Just put the receptionist there. No, you're not coming in. Sorry. Bye. That'll be the end of that. What have we got from Chrissy coming in from Spain? Enjoy your holiday. Put me in the pit. It's great. Here's the thing, Chrissy, with respect, and I'm delighted that here on the Midday Show, with Dr. Edwards, we're able to help. Here's the thing. You're going through all of this. We shouldn't be the ones giving you the information. You should have been told all of that. Am I missing a point? See what I'm saying, Chrissy? I mean, I'm thrilled we were able to help. He was a terrific guest. And I actually had to call in a few favors because he was doing this throughout last week. And I said, I can't do it. That doesn't fit with our schedule. Can you come this week? And I said, okay. So he done it especially for us. Yeah, well, there you are. Gatekeepers. That's the thing. It's the gatekeepers. What have we got here? Dave Sleep. He's very vocal. Very vocal. APA promotes mood tracking. Jesus, don't ever track my mood. You're going round the bend yourself. So you have a tangible point of reference. Russell, crappy mood. Day 2, worse mood. Slightly less shitty mood. I mean, that'll be me. That you can show the doc to help contextualize. TATT, TAT. Tired all the time. See, we learn. Azadon Brown coming in from Northeastern United States. Are you still in Northeast? Are you in Philadelphia on your road trip in your 1948 Corvette with the roof down, and your missus next to you, and you're just cruising along? Yeah, that'll be cool. Stella, he was terrific, wasn't he? Absolutely fantastic. What do we got, Chrissy? We go from Northeastern United States to Spain. I love this. Isn't this great? Yes, I have to pick up details from the doctor tomorrow. I saw the doc, so I thought I'd ask whether you did the right thing. What's the point? What's the point of having a show like this? You can't ask questions. Of course you can. Great. So, he diced and sliced so much stuff there. I think I don't even sure where to start. I've got a whole battery of tests I'm having this afternoon, and I woke up and I'll be absolutely honest with you. We are the opposite of Woman's Hour and all the rest at Radio 4. We're just straightforward. I don't have an agenda. We're talking. We're just people having a natter, you know. If we can help, we can. If we can't, we can't. There you go. That's life. When I woke up, I'm really nervous because I'm worried what they're going to find. I'm hoping they're going to find nothing. But with this particular thing, if they find something, it ain't going to be great, you know. And I've been putting it off. Yeah, I've been kind of putting off. Well, that'll be all right. And I have days when it's absolutely. It's my heart. Okay, it's my heart. There you go. Said it. So there's days when I'm absolutely fine, like I'm walking Ebony, we're powering along, and I'm going to meet Ray or Colin, and I'm powering through Soho. Absolutely fine. Nothing. Feel great. Other days I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? So I'm having a whole load of tests, and let's just see what is what. But if I never see you again, it's been great. But I woke up, I was really nervous. And I thought, oh man, you know, because I know it's way better, but I don't want a heart operation. That's I haven't really got the time. What I mean is, I'm too shit scared to have a heart operation because I'm not up for it. I'm not up for it right now. I got stuff to do. Least of which I got 2 funerals on the go. Oh yeah, it's the best thing I ever did, becoming a celebrant. Best thing I ever did, becoming a celebrant. I just love to be able to help. I love being able to help. I got 2 funerals, very different people. One on Friday, one next week, and because luckily you've never had to deal with it, you get it yourself into a hell of a tiz. Of course you do. You're not trained how to do it. And so it's very nice to be able to come in and say, right, let's just look at this quietly and calmly, and let's just try and sort everything out bit by bit by bit. But it's also very nice when you've written the eulogy. Well, these are complete strangers to me. I don't know them. Bear in mind, they're clients. They're complete strangers coming from funeral directors. And one was a very kind recommendation from the lovely David Prevo I used to work with. And it was a relative of his by chance. But it's very nice when you're able to help. But it's also very kind of emotionally rewarding when you've written the eulogy and you want to get it absolutely right. you've only had an hour's meeting with the family, and they come back, we've made several changes. And you go, oh, I've got it wrong. And you go, no, you can call me this. This is my nickname. And you go, well, that's okay. You know, if that's like the worst thing I got wrong, I didn't get your nickname, that's okay. I'm very happy with that. You know, it's feeling good through service to others. It's something that my podcast partner, Mark Collin, has discussed with me endlessly, and I never understood it. Feeling good through the service of others, you know, serving other people. And I enjoy it. Yeah, I've said it. I enjoy it. And people say, well, don't you find funeral? You find it very depressing. No, I find it quite the opposite, to be honest with you. Quite the opposite. Interestingly, some of the clients have become friends. It's very nice. I mean, you know, I don't mean we hang out, and I mean we talk and stuff like that. I have an interest in their lives. I don't find it depressing. It's this will sound counterintuitive. It's life affirming. It's life affirming because we're all going to go. That's it. We're all going to go. It's just you can choose how you want to go. Now, there's a message here from Paul Claridge. I want you to read it. Let me read this out to you. As I said, Neil's involved with his daughter's wedding and has taken a few days off this week. I'm quite right too. His wedding photos and everything, they were lovely. I'm so pleased for him. I'm so because as he hints, he went through a bad patch. He's been very open about it. I'd lost touch with him at that point. And I'm so pleased, you know, things are going nicely. Why not? Us blokes have to get over the embarrassment or I'll leave it until tomorrow factor. Take it from me, says Paul Claridge. If something feels wrong or you have any odd symptoms, go and see your doctor. And don't be shy or embarrassed if you have to drop your trousers. Well, only if you're in Lidl or Tesco. Don't do that. Your doctor will have seen lots of people's dangly bits before. Probably why I didn't become a doctor. That, and I'm an idiot. What else we got? Now, oh, Claridge is back. Here we go. Russ, the important thing is that you've seen your doctor and getting the test. Well, that is true. Yeah, I get that you're nervous, but hey, once you know what, if anything, you're facing, you can get the relevant treatment and deal with it and be here for many, many more. Oh, really? Many more years? Oh, and now you can talk to us most any time. You don't want me doing that. You don't want me. Well, right, I got something. It just come into my head. Let's just go. First of all, any of you all over the world watching that, are you putting something off? Be honest. I've been honest with you. Be honest with me. Be honest with the gang. Is there something you're thinking, you know, this isn't right? I don't mean Larry Viner's turned up for lunch. That's never right, obviously. I mean, is there something in your life of you medically, physically, and you think this ain't right? And you think, it'll be all right. And you know you should get it checked. You know you should get it. You know you should get it checked up. Last few weeks, I've lost how many people we lost? 2, 3 people? Like, boom. Larger than life characters. Larger than life, fit, funny as hell. Boom. It's a wake-up call, no? It's a wake-up call. Now, here's a question. I'm not mentioning any names. I'm going to have to dance around this to keep the people. Oh, Chrissy. See, Chrissy straight in there, being honest. Yes, I put this off. This is her. There's a cancerous something on her lip. If I've got it wrong, Chrissy, correct me, but I think that's what it is. Yes, I put this off for the last 6 months. Should have gone earlier. Well, I know. Yeah. You're right. You should have, but you're getting it done now, so you better late than never, and you're getting it done. But anybody else? All right. My next thing, and I said I'm going to have to dance around this kind of gingerly. I don't want to dob anybody in. A pal of mine invited people to dinner. I think they're very nice, and then saw on social media, shall we say, that the people had really horrible political views. and really horrible worldviews. Horrible. All right. I don't just mean, let's be honest, I don't mean, oh, I'm going to vote for Labour, I'm going to vote Conservative. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stuff that you go, really? That's what, Jesus, that's what I'm talking about, right? How would you feel? Would you be able to maintain a friendship with them? Or would you say, do you know what? I'm out of here. Can't do this. I'm not talking about, although if you want to, you can. You can. If somebody said, "No, I'm voting for Nigel Farage, or I'm voting for Biden, or I'm voting for Trump," and you feel so, could you maintain a friendship? I tell you where I'm at. If it's politics and somebody says, "I'm going to vote for," so fair enough. I can still be friends. I've got friends who have completely different politics to me. I mean, Colin Vaines, who I see every Saturday morning. Colin Ray and I meet up. It's totally different politics to me. He's still one of my absolute closest friends. I don't care, right? It's fine. But if it's such a differing view, a view whereby you think, no, that makes you pretty racist, that makes you racist, or that makes you a real hater, could you continue a friendship and put that aside? Could you do that? I don't think I could. I don't think I could. If I knew they had certain beliefs that were so against everything that I stood for and believed in myself, I don't think I could be friends with them. But it's awkward if you've been friends and you suddenly think, oh, I can't do that. Can't do that. But I'm not talking about just voting for one of the parties. I'm talking on a much deeper level, you know. Saturday, I was in Soho, which, if you're watching abroad, that's in the centre of London. And there were two marches, not one. Yay, it's Saturday. Let's have two freaking marches. And I'm sitting there having a coffee in Soho, and a van. First of all, I hear this noise. I hear this crazy screaming, chanting, screaming. I'm thinking, what the hell? What the hell? It's the zombie apocalypse, and it's broken out. And right now, and a van stops. Big van. I don't mean like a little van. A big van, right? Somewhere between a Transit and a Luton. You know, one of those bigger vans. People get out, masked. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. And they get on the roof of the van. It's in the middle of the street, right? I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what next, right? And they're dancing like crazy on the top of the van and going berserk. The crowd, which is now huge, is going insane. Your next question, I hear you. And how quickly did the police come? I'm sorry. What? How quickly did the police come? They never showed up. They weren't there at all. They never came. Park on a single yellow line. Oh my God. Stray into a bus lane. They'll pursue you to the gates of hell. Park a van, start a riot, dancing on the top of the van in the middle of the nothing. Two-tier policing? I don't think so. Anyway, and they're throwing things, right? And this crowd is growing, and I still don't know what the hell it was. I don't know what they were doing. I have absolutely no idea. And then the other march was, for once, it wasn't about you know what. Can't go there anymore. 8 months of this. Every Saturday, nearly. This is about, was it about nature or the planet? And of course, they wheel out Emma Thompson. Emma, I'm flying first class Thompson. Can't bother. Nah. But that was more polite. It was loud, but it was kind of an older age group. But I don't know what they, I mean, everything is like, man. And that's London for you. And after the election, it's gonna get, oh man. Here's my theory. In Britain, we tut. You know, something really. But that's what we do, isn't it? That's what we do. When we're really annoyed in Britain, kind of how it gets. So come, what is it, July, or whatever it is, when the election is, we know what's going to happen. There you go. Foregone conclusion. There's nothing you can do about it. That's it. That's democracy. It's democracy. And if you don't vote, you have no right to moan about it. Shut up about it. If you don't get off your backside and vote, then you've wasted your voice. And I don't go with spoiling ballot paper. What's the point of that? It's childish. You know, there's people saying, yeah, draw a knob on the ballot paper. What for? What a waste of bloody time. But anyway, look, do what the hell you want. You're all grown up. You're all over 21. In America, come November, it will kick off. I've no doubt. Because whoever wins, Biden or Trump, whoever, if Biden's still breathing, whoever wins, the other side, they're not going to accept that decision. Over here in the UK, we'll accept the decision. Is there jiggery pokery over here? Undoubtedly. Do I believe all the postal votes? No, I don't. But that's just me. Okay, but we will tut loudly, and some people will be pleased, some people won't be pleased. That'll be it. We will accept the democratic process and go, well, there was an election. Okay. That's it. There you go. For another 4 or 5 years of this. Grit your teeth. Or be thrilled. I don't know. Whatever, whichever you want. Whatever you want. But in America, I am convinced, and I'd love Asa Don Brown, if he's not driving his Pontiac Bonneville, to comment as well. And any other people watching across America. Whoever wins, the other side will not accept that. Now, over here, we might throw McVitie's rich tea biscuits at each other. That's kind of it. Right. Over there, everyone's armed to the teeth. Armed to the teeth. If Biden wins, I think it's going to be as near to civil war as has been since the 1800s. And if Trump wins, they won't accept that either. I mean, whatever happens, it's going to be a really bumpy ride. I always say you got a population of, 360, 370 million people, and that's your choice. An egomaniac or a guy who looks more dead than alive. I mean, geez, you know, I think it's cruel what they're doing to him. I'm not a Biden fan. I don't like any of them. They're all politicians. They're terrible people. But the guy's not there. You can see it. And then when he freezes on stage or goes off and shakes hands and there's nobody, I mean, it's, in the true sense of the word, pathetic. It's horrible to watch. It's easy to mock. I know that. I take no pleasure in it. I don't like the guy. His son, well, let's not go there. But watching someone who is clearly ill being pushed around like a very sick marionette is horrible. It's horrible. It's absolutely not right. Chrissy Richards says this. Well, no. It's a democracy. You can't do that. But she's saying people should be made to vote. If I could vote, I would vote reform. Can't do any worse than the other parties. Well, I'm not going to comment. But you can't force people to vote. That's kind of the antithesis of the idea. Excuse me. Thank God I'm seeing the doctor. That's the antithesis of democracy. You've got to vote. What if you don't vote? What happens if you don't vote? They're going to come and arrest you. They come and arrest you. Can't they? Well, in America, can't they find a young person? Well, Biden to them is a young person. He looks terrible. He looks worse and worse and worse. It's awful. And Trump, for whatever reason, looks younger and younger. Go figure that. Anyway, there we go. It's not my country. I'm not allowed to vote there. So, but I fear for it. I fear for it because I think it'll be as near to civil war. I really do. And here's my prediction. This is my prediction for the UK. And I believe this with my heart. Whatever you think of Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer, he's going to absolutely walk it after the election. Walk it. No ifs or buts. No. And I think what will happen, and I hope I'm proved wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I think they will, because he's the acceptable face of Labour. You know, he looks nice. I think the moment they're in power, they give him, 15, 20 minutes, and they'll dump him. They will dump him. He'll be pushed aside, and they will bring in all the radicals that I think are waiting in the wings under the leadership of Angela Rayner. That is my personal bet, my bet that I've had with myself. And it's not a political comment about whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. That is just what I think would happen, and probably will. And if you think I'm saying, please vote for the Conservatives, trust me, I'm not. I would never do that. You must vote with your conscience and vote for whoever you want to vote. And you know what? It's none of my business. It's your business. It's not my business. It's nobody else's business except yours. And that is it. Well, I don't know where the time's gone, gang. I've no idea. But big breaking news. Ebony, the mini schnauzer, had a bath yesterday. She's still sulking. She's not. Oh, all right. We'll end with one last thing, then I must let you go. Two-level policing is very real, Russ. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine got in for a confrontation with another woman in a local park. She didn't instigate the incident. The other woman did. Okay. My friend then found herself being assaulted and then surrounded by up to 20 onlookers. Oh, Christ. Who seemed to be friends of the other woman. There you go. She didn't have her phone, so couldn't call for help. However, someone called the police. My friend was then held against her will by this group. Holy moly. The police has only got as far as this. The police took over 2 hours, and we'll never know what they took 2 hours to do. And on that note of slight tension, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine. I will be here on Wednesday. I look forward to chit-chatting with you then. Until then, unlike Paul Claridge's friend, try and stay out of trouble.